Awesome. I know when we did a few handful of us. Okay. Okay, so this is like a really formal training and it requires me, I have to like say certain things. So if I'm looking down, I'm cheating and reading. Okay. So just bear with me, but I tried to make it as interactive because I want to have conversations through it as possible. At least just conversations. You don't have to get up or anything. But it is a heavy topic. Okay. But the training exists to give you an understanding of what human trafficking is. And, talking about human trafficking and exploitation can be really difficult, but it is a reality in this world, not just our country, not just our state, but in the world. So if it's heavy and you need to take, if you need a minute, take care of yourself, walk out, take a breather. That's totally fine. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not even going to bring attention to it. But yeah, please take care of yourself through it. Okay. All right. If I can do this. If I can even like figure out how to do this. There we go. There we go. Okay, so what is human trafficking? Human trafficking and commercial exploitation. So there's labor trafficking, and that's the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, or obtaining of a person for labor or services through the use of force, fraud, or coercion for the purposes of subjection to involuntary servitude, peonage, debt, bondage, or slavery. And then commercial sex trafficking is the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, obtaining, patronizing, or soliciting of a person for the purposes of a commercial sex act in which the commercial sex act is induced by force, fraud, or coercion, or in which the person induced to perform such an act has not attained 18 years of age. So when we talk about something of value, people will often think of money, and it can be money, but it can also be a ride, drugs, a place to stay, items, or something given that has value. So examples of this is I snuck out of a house to go to a party with my friends. The party ended at 2 a.m. and my friends left without me. I didn't have a ride home. It was cold and dark outside. This guy told me if I performed oral sex on him, he would give me a ride home. That's commercial sexual exploitation. And another example, this one's labor trafficking. Martin is working for a friend of his dad's this summer mowing lawns. While on the job, he accidentally breaks one of the mowers. Furious, his boss says he will be taking from his wages until he pays back the debt he owes. He works 15-hour days, but is only paid $2 an hour for 10 hours daily. And that would be labor trafficking. And then another example, and you tell me what this is. My boyfriend told me he lost his job and couldn't pay the rent. He asked me to help him out. He said his friend John would pay him $300 if I had sex with him. He told me he really needed my help. Any guesses? Barry.
Right.
What's that? Yeah, and it's the presence of a third party too, the boyfriend benefiting. Okay. So let's review the definitions of force, fraud, or coercion. Miss Annette, do you mind reading force?
Physical strength, beating, rape, and confinement.
Okay. Miss Christie, do you mind doing fraud?
False promises, posing as a false agency or lying about working conditions or wage, posing as a romantic partner.
And Emily, do you mind doing coercion?
Threats of blackmail, confiscation, attempting with documentation, making the person afraid of seeking saying that.
Yes. So these things do not have to be proven if the victim of sex trafficking is under 18. I want to highlight the underage 18. For situations of sex trafficking, if a youth is under the age of 18 years, we don't have to prove it. But I also want to highlight fraud through romantic partners or fake relationships with the intent of exploitation. This is something service providers working with trafficked youth see frequently. Our youth are very vulnerable to methods of fraud and or coercion simply due to the ages of adolescent development. Any questions there? Okay. I'm like learning how to do this. Okay. So when we talk about an act of exploitation, we must understand some key concepts. So let's run through these terms: consent, coercion, and grooming. Consent, grooming, and child labor exploitation. Consent is giving permission for something, agreeing to do something, communicating yes. Ms. Starr, would you mind reading grooming? Preparing or training someone. Yes. Jim, would you mind doing child labor exploitation?
Child labor standard that jeopardizes their health, well-being, or educational opportunity, or that causes the serious injury or death of a minor.
Yes. So with consent, absence of a no is not consent. Consent means communicating yes on your terms without coercion. A person is not able to give consent while under the influence, and consent must be given at every interaction and can be revoked at any time. With grooming, this can be masked in everyday conversations. Traffickers latch onto normal needs and desires, developing a relationship. It's the process of identifying someone's vulnerabilities, keyword there, and using them to build a relationship or strong emotional connection for the purpose of exploitation. And child labor exploitation, this can look like a youth working too many hours in a dangerous place or not being paid for the hours they worked. The possibility of our youth experiencing exploitation is really scary. However, teaching our youth what consent is, educating our youth on their rights as workers, and recognizing signs of grooming can empower our youth. And I want to show you a video. We do this training it looks different with the youth, and we will be doing it with our youth in December, the first week of December after school. We have to do it twice a year, and we do it with the kids who haven't done it, right? And they have to be 13 and up. So this is a really important topic. So we show this video to our youth in the training, and I thought it would be really good for you guys to kind of get a little preview of it. Okay. Oops, video.
Like, you want a cup of tea? And they go, oh my God, I would love a cup of tea. Thank you. No, they want a cup of tea. If you say tea, they're like, I'm not really sure. Then you could make them a cup of tea or not, but be aware they might not drink it. And if they don't drink it, then, and this is the important part, don't make them drink it. Just because you make it doesn't mean you are entitled to watch them drink it. And if they say no, thank you, then don't make them tea at all. Just don't make them tea. Don't make them drink tea. Don't get annoyed at them for not wanting tea. They just don't want tea. Okay. They might say, yes, please. That's kind of you. And then when the tea arrives, they actually don't want the tea at all. Sure, that's kind of annoying as you've gone over the effort of making the tea, but they remain under no obligation to drink the tea. They did want tea, now they don't. Some people change their mind in the time that it takes to boil the kettle, brew the tea, and add the milk. And it's okay for people to change their mind. And you are still not entitled to watch them drink it. If they're unconscious, don't make them tea. Unconscious people don't want tea. I know you have to answer the question, do you want tea? Because they're unconscious. Okay, maybe they were conscious when you asked them if they wanted to. And they said yes. But in the time it took you to boil the kettle, brew the tea, and add the milk, they're now unconscious. You should just put the tea down. Make sure the unconscious person is safe. And this is the important part again. Don't make them drink the tea. They said yes then, sure, but unconscious people don't want tea. If someone said yes to tea, started drinking it, and it passed out before they finished it, don't keep on pouring it down their throat. Take the tea away. Make sure they're safe, because unconscious people don't want tea. Trust me on this. If someone said yes to tea around your house last Saturday, that doesn't mean they want you to make them tea all the time. They don't want you to come around to their place unexpectedly and make them tea and force them to drink it, going, but you wanted tea last week. Or to wake up to find you pouring tea down their throat, going, but you wanted tea last night. But if you can understand how completely ludicrous it is to force people to have tea when they don't want tea, and you're able to understand when people don't want tea, then how hard is it to understand it when it comes to sex? Whether it's tea or sex, consent is everything. And on that note, I'm going to go make myself a cup of tea.
So that's just a preview of, I want you guys to see that.
I'm still struggling.
That we, something we show the kids. That's a really hard conversation to have with teenagers. And so it's a good tool. It's on YouTube. If you guys have teenagers, it's a good one to use. But every family is different. Okay, so what is vulnerability? Something that a person might take advantage of to cause harm or for exploitation. Some are temporary, some are about personal feelings or struggles, some are parts of our communities and environment. And for our youth, the stage of adolescence creates a vulnerability. What vulnerabilities might your youth and their peers experience? Give me some examples. Start thinking about our youth and what someone could use to take advantage of them. What? Okay. Vape, like vaping, like, yeah. That's it. What? Love. There's, yeah. Attention. Yeah. Or belonging. Their age. That's a vulnerability in itself. The fact, what?
Basically, kids who are at risk.
Yeah.
Taking care of their home.
Yes. Yeah, they're neglected.
Mental health.
They're like, the fact that they're seeking to fulfill those voids, that's a vulnerability, right? The fact that they're in state's custody, that they're in the system, that's a huge vulnerability. A huge reason why we have to have this kind of training. Like, it's so important to recognize vulnerabilities. Any other examples? Here's an example. My daughter has so much trouble making friends. If she was invited to join a group of friends and they treated her really great, I can see where she would be eager to please them. And once she felt like she was part of the group, I can see where she would become worried if she ever thought she might lose the friendship. Where are her vulnerabilities? Mm-hmm. And her need for it. Absolutely. Adolescence provides many opportunities for exploitation due to peer influence, desire to fit in, exploration of relationships, etc. That's what the teen years bring in. I keep saying, my nephew's 15. I keep saying, like, I've been saying for years, the 7 years I've lived here, that one day, it was all about Auntie Sissy for a long time. But that one day I was not going to matter anymore. His friends are what matters. And they do. That's what it looks like. And I knew that. And so it's a very important thing to remember. Okay. More examples of vulnerabilities. So we did adolescence, history of abuse and neglect, low self-esteem and loneliness, questioning sexuality, homelessness, struggling with substance misuse, long periods of parental absence, victim of bullying, exposure to gang activity, member of marginalized population. So having vulnerabilities does not mean a youth did something wrong. Everyone has vulnerabilities. Unfortunately, vulnerabilities are areas traffickers target to take advantage of. So let's look at an example. This is a lack of emotional awareness. Without appropriate examples of how to identify and meet social emotional needs in a healthy way, youth may turn to unhealthy ways to meet those needs that make them susceptible to harmful peer or adult influence. So this list is not all encompassing. As you think about our youth and what they struggle with, start to think about how another person could use this struggle to their advantage. Let's talk about Sarah's story. Miss Bethany, will you read this? It's a 3-slide story. So if you could read the first slide.
Her best friend introduced them. Things got serious quickly. David asked Sarah to live with him after only a month. Sarah was nervous about it, but she figured it was better than her current situation. Her parents were strict and she had never had any freedom. They gave her everything she wanted, except for affection and praise. David gave her butterfly feelings every time she saw him. He told her she was beautiful and kind and said he would do anything for her.
So keep in mind, it's sometimes easier to see how vulnerabilities can be used when talking through real scenarios. Well, we're going to keep going with this story. Listen and think to yourself, what kinds of vulnerabilities were present for these youth? And how did someone use these vulnerabilities to their advantage? How could you as a caregiver recognize their vulnerability? And what can you have done? What could you have done to help this youth? Miss Carrie, will you read the second part?
He asked her to have sex with one of his friends. He acted like he felt bad about it, but said that he owed some money and it would really help him out. Sarah didn't understand how David could be okay with her having sex with another guy, so she left him and wanted to help. Afterwards, David told her how much he loved her.
It's important to point out, first part, as soon as she moved in, David changed. Okay. Someone read this third one. That's a point out, Mr. Brandon. Okay.
Weeks went by before he asked for another thing. This time he wanted her to have sex with a few strangers to help pay rent. When he said she didn't want to, he started yelling that she was stupid and that she was lucky he was willing to take care of her. Sarah felt really bad because he had done so much for her, so she agreed. After that, David told her that this was how he expected her to pay her portion of rent and other expenses from now on.
So when we hear Sarah's story, we can see what kinds of vulnerabilities were present. We see what Sarah is lonely. Sarah's being emotionally abused. Sarah may not have anywhere else to go. Sarah doesn't have her source, like her own source of income. Sarah was pressured to move in quick. And Sarah doesn't know the difference between healthy and unhealthy relationships. We can see that Sarah's boyfriend used these vulnerabilities to his advantage. We also know that men who purchase sex from Sarah are taking advantage of her. And unfortunately, the police did not spend a lot of time investigating what was wrong. So as a caregiver, it's very important to keep our eye out for vulnerabilities because what we want to know is our youth is feeling lonely, right? Because we can see where this feeling of loneliness can be used by someone looking to take advantage. As a caregiver, there are many things we can do to help. We can provide emotional support to Sarah. We can support Sarah's involvement in activities to help her loneliness. Make sure Sarah has a safe place to live. Help support Sarah in getting a job and her own bank account, maybe. Teach Sarah about healthy and unhealthy relationships. And support Sarah in receiving additional services that she might need. So we're going to do another story. and I want more, I want you guys to really pay attention because I want answers from you. You know, there's a myth out there that only girls are vulnerable to trafficking and exploitations. In this story, we're going to talk about Vincent. Remember, think to yourself, what kinds of vulnerabilities are present for this youth? How did someone use these vulnerabilities for their advantage? And think about the caregivers for these youth. How could you, as a caregiver, have recognized a vulnerability? What could you have done to help this youth? And this is Vincent's story. Miss Ashton, will you read the first one? Can you read it? Is it small? Okay.
Vincent wanted to help, so he dropped out of school and started doing odd jobs around town. His family had been moved into a small apartment, and there wasn't really room for him, so he started sleeping on friends' couches. Sometimes he would sleep on the street.
Mm.
They found a drop-in center for homeless youth, and the people there were many.
I want to point out at the top, it says Vincent was 16 years old when his mom lost her job and started having a hard time taking care of Vincent and his sisters. Caitlin, will you read the second one?
One day, Vincent told volunteer at the center that he was excited because they let him go off and move to a different state. After asking some questions that Vincent didn't know how to answer, the volunteer told him that it sounded risky and that he should try to learn more before making a decision. But Vincent felt desperate and decided to take it.
Okay. Stephanie, you mind doing the last one?
Now Vincent works for a feeding crew that movie theater before they close late at night. Sometimes his boss doesn't pay him at all because he says Vincent owes him for his trouble. Vincent works very long days and feels that his situation is worse than before. The managers are often mean. They say if they will not help him get home if he quits. Vincent is confused and too embarrassed to ask his mom or anyone at the center for help.
Okay. So when we hear Vincent's story, we can see what kinds of vulnerabilities were present. Can you guys, maybe a few of you, shout out what you kind of saw and heard as a vulnerability?
Not really wanting to put any stress on his mom about where he could sleep or stay.
Maybe like a guilt or a burden. Okay, that's good. If there's a pressure, right?
Why do you need to take on that here? Well,
Hmm.
for that.
Yeah, it's forced to be independent. Anyone else? Give me a couple more.
I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know if like naive is, that's not the word I want to say, but like them not understanding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was not desperate.
Yeah.
He felt desperate to help them just go in without having all this.
You're good. What were you gonna say, Brandon?
Just his age.
Oh, right, his
So he's
age.
younger, it's easier to manipulate the situation.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. These are all really good. He might, some examples here. Unstable housing situation. You said there's pressure to help his family and is forced to be independent. He may be experiencing pressure to be a man. His lack of social support and education. He's in a new state and is away from family and friends. And he may be experiencing shame and is too embarrassed to ask for help. So we can see that the employer who took advantage of Vincent uses vulnerabilities to their advantage. And unfortunately, Vincent's situation made him feel shame and embarrassment. As a caregiver, keeping our eye out for vulnerabilities is essential. We know that if a youth is homeless, this lack of food and shelter can be used by someone looking to take advantage. So as a caregiver, there are many things we can do. What's something we can do what can we do for Vincent if he was with us and he had been through this?
And you understand it's not his responsibility.
Mm-hmm. So teaching him maybe the difference between healthy and unhealthy. Okay. What are some other things that we here at Nova Ranch can do for him or do for him?
It's not. It's bad, but it's not his job.
So provide maybe some normalcy, stability in our schedule. Anything else in our program that would help him?
The norm way jobs work.
Yeah, absolutely. Because what kind of trafficking is this? Labor. Yes. So we want to make sure Vincent has a safe place, right? Safe and loving environment. This is more of a caseworker thing, but we make sure that he's connected to services that he needs. Also, CPS would do that for him. We teach Vincent about his rights as an employer, like you said, and support Vincent with employment opportunities in the area. It's good. These are all good job, guys. So how does this happen? We know that youth are spending a lot of time online, right? Where they're interacting with friends and sometimes strangers, whether it's video games, social media, or schoolwork. Traffickers know this, and they use online spaces to attempt to make a connection with youth. In recent years, we've seen the use of images, oftentimes taken consensually, fall into the wrong hands and put youth in very vulnerable situations. I mean, we had a girl just in the last year or two, maybe a year. She called this, some of you may remember, she was in contact with a guy, and the guy came and picked her up, and she got into the car and she was taken 2 hours away. And she trusted this guy because it's her brother, but they in reality had only known each other online. And maybe, I don't know, she might have met him. I don't think so. I really think that they only knew each other online. But that does happen. They feel close. They feel vulnerable. They feel connected, belonged to that person online. And then they take these risks that put them in danger. So here are some terms to know to help lead conversations with our youth about boundaries in online spaces. Mr. Mark, can you read sextortion?
Or blackmail with sexual information or images are used to extort sexual or non-sexual behavior.
The bullet.
Can you see what it says?
Oh,
Illegally acquired via catfishing, consensual sexting, airdropping, social media, and any form of emergency.
yeah. And I hear about it all the time. Revenge porn. Who hasn't read? Justin, can you read that?
Bullet point kind of.
Read the one above, like the distribution.
Yeah, distribution for video of individuals without their consent often occurs as after a disagreement or breakup.
Yeah. And Chris, can you read the last one?
Self-generated, and in some
Content.
states, it is illegal to share or disclose any intimate videos or pictures if you are under the age of 18. This falls under the definition of child pornography.
Right. Remember that. Keep that one in mind. So let's practice the terminology we just went over. So I'm going to read you a scenario, and you're going to tell me if it's sextortion, revenge porn, or neither. Okay? Alejandro and his girlfriend Ashley broke up last week after being together for 1 year. Ashley was mad at him for flirting with her friend. To get back at Alejandro, she airdropped a nude picture of him to everyone in their school. Alejandro felt humiliated and betrayed. The picture was supposed to be private, and he only sent it to Ashley because he loved her. What is it? Revenge porn. Good. All right, the next one. Sam broke up with his girlfriend, Laura, because he found out she has an X-rated private Snapchat. He is a senior in high school, and Laura is first-year college student. They're both 18. Laura posted a nude picture of herself on Twitter as a preview of the content on her profile. Sam, in anger, retweeted it with the comment, "This is why we're not together anymore." What is it? It's a hard one, right? What? I'm sorry, I heard. What did you guys say?
Be posted on a public profile.
It is neither, but because they're both over the age of 18. So Laura's choice to share nude photos is not illegal technically. Sam shared something she had already shared, so this would not qualify as revenge porn as it was not previously shared with him only. All right, Kendrick and Carlos are sophomores in high school and have been in a relationship for 2 years. They love each other and occasionally send each other nudes. One day, a classmate, Rebecca, stole Carlos's phone and sent a nude picture of Kendrick to herself. Rebecca knew that Kendrick's parents were very strict and were not aware of his sexuality. Rebecca used this information to her advantage. She told Kendrick that if he did not help her cheat on their final exam, she would send his parents the nude photos and out him. What is this? Is it sextortion, revenge porn, or neither? It is sextortion. It's extortion because Rebecca takes the image of Kendrick off of Carlos's phone and sends it to herself. And she blackmails, as I heard that word, Kendrick by threatening to share the image of with his parents if he does not help her cheat. So it was like, all right, next one. While Adrian was in class, someone anonymously airdropped him a nude picture of a sophomore in high school. He wasn't sure who the person in the picture was, but it looked like a girl in his 7th period class. He decided to share it with his friend Carlisa because he thought it was funny. Is this sextortion, revenge porn, or neither? Why? It is neither. But why?
Not using it to his benefit in any way.
Mm-hmm. Can anyone take a guess as to what it could be? Yes. It's an example of the distribution of child pornography. In most states, it is illegal to possess, create, or share sexual images of youth under the age of 18. So aside from online spaces, we want to think about how language can impact youth. There is strength and power in language. There are powerful words in songs, and we become so comfortable using the words. Sometimes we even think they're funny or not a big deal. So these words, feeling accepted, managing emotions, communication, relationship, behavior, self-esteem. How can language affect behavior? Can you guys give me an example?
Yell at someone and constantly tell them they're no good there. Feel like, you know.
Yeah. And that does happen. What is something a lot of kids struggle with? Self-esteem. Is there anything you can think of that could, like their self-esteem and their feeling of no good could lead to maybe even medically a problem? Yeah, a lot of our kids self-harm. They turn to that. Their mindset gets so bad that they can't get out of it, right? So, another example can make someone mad and lash out with cold names. That's why knowing their triggers are really important. Just being able to identify those and be up to date on those with our kids, right? So we could be watching for that. All right. So words can become embedded in self-esteem. Youth are already filled with self-doubt and insecurities. When these types of words are used, youth begin to question their worth and value, creating vulnerability. And we spoke about how vulnerabilities can be used to exploit. Imagine a youth who is being told, you are ugly, you are worthless, you're a loser, you're a trouble child. How much power does that individual now hold over this youth? How drawn to this individual might a youth be? And think about what kind of words your youth would use to describe themselves if asked. And we use this as one of the activities in the training. And what we do is ultimately, after speaking about how words are so powerful, we have them cross off these words and then write words of encouragement about themselves around the head to replace them. Words are really impactful for them, right? When we talk about victimization and exploitation, we also have to take a look at what is called victim blaming. Victim blaming occurs when the victim of a crime or wrongful act is held entirely or partially responsible for the offenses committed against them. So let's look through these comments, which are frequently heard statements in our society. You didn't say no. How much did you drink? He's lucky. Who wouldn't want that? You always sleep around. I bet you wanted it. You were asking for it. It's a rite of passage. They were just having fun. Did you expect him to read your mind? I'll add one. Shouldn't have been dressed that way. Any other ones? These comments can suggest the crime was the fault of the victim. When youth hear victim blaming language, it can make them hesitant to disclose any victimization that may have already occurred. And it can make youth hesitant to talk about their own circumstances. So this training is to challenge you as caregivers to be on alert for victim blaming language. To discuss with the youth that when a crime has occurred, the fault lies with the offender. To adjust our own reactions to support the victim and adjust questions for the behavior of the offender. Our goal here is to change our habitual reactions to validate that the crime occurring is the fault of the offender and the offender alone, not them. And although there are things that we can do to keep ourselves safer, it is never the fault of the victim that they were hurt. So something to keep in mind. Victim blaming examples are not only geared towards women, but they're also geared towards men and boys, and they experience victim blaming and shaming as well. So we've discussed factors in which youth are vulnerable and how media impacts our youth, our emotions, and feeds into our worldview. Now let's transition to the exploiter or the trafficker. We have come to realize that although we may have that preconceived notion in our minds of what a trafficker looks like, traffickers are not always recognizable. They can be anyone. They can be a teacher, a peer, a coach, a friend's parent. And when talking to our youth about how to recognize a trafficker, it's important to focus on behavior and actions and not generalized characteristics. Anyone can be a trafficker. And the importance of our youth understanding this is vital. So I'm going to show you some photos here in a second, and I want you to identify the traffickers. Okay. And this slide says, well, you know what an exploiter looks like. There are many misconceptions of what an exploiter looks like. Let's see it. Let's see if you guys can identify the traffickers. We got Cordell, the pastor, 48, Tim, 30, probation officer, Montia, a cheerleader, 18, Raymond, the Navy officer, 41, and April, mom of one, 32. Can we really tell?
It's all like, it's a long sketch.
Question? You guys are spoiling it. You guys know. It is all of them. But two I wanted to show you is like they could look like anyone. Take a look at Tim and April. This is Tim and April. Like they could look like anybody, right? They have purposely AI to kind of throw you off a little. If we cannot always recognize an exploiter, how will our youth be able to? So it's important to have regular conversations with our youth, and we're not always able to recognize a trafficker on the surface. And if we do not expand our understanding, we may limit our ability to identify unsafe situations. So what can we do? As caregivers, it's important to be alert to changes in our youth. As youth begin to build new relationships and explore romantic relationships, keep communication open, build trust, build rapport with them. Watch for changes in attitude from open and communicative to private and secretive. Other signs include a reduced desire to engage in family activities or the more frequent pursuit of time alone. So some signs to watch for. What do you guys see? Read them out loud. Come on. Yep.
More and more isolated from others.
You suddenly have a lot of new stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The older romantic partner.
Yep. Yes.
Responding to dog offers or modeling after them dogs.
Well, you keep doing that. That's the problem. It doesn't work. All freaking. All right. So we should also, here's some more additional signs, but we should also keep in mind that having one of those signs alone does not mean youth is victim of trafficking. However, signs should prompt caregivers to take a second look. So do you guys like some of these you see, right? Some kids run. Are risky. I don't know. Sometimes these kids when they come from home, I don't ever want to like assume anything, but I'm super aware, like if their home is, I don't want to give like specific examples, but like if I see the condition of their home they're coming from, it makes me wonder, like, what have these kids been through? What is their day-to-day like? What have they been through? So the online world can be very scary for us as adults, for our kids, right? We have to do our research and we have to learn what apps and websites youth are accessing and what risks to watch out for. Our youth are exposed to cyberbullying, sexting, sextortion, and easy wanted and unwanted access to pornography, which includes far more violent and hardcore images than youth were exposed to in years past. We must keep lines of communication open with youth, empower our youth by asking them to teach you about the app. Don't ignore changes in our youth or indicators of risk. Okay. If they're being what they say, sus, check into that. You can do that. That's okay to do that. So sometimes talking about hard subjects with our youth can be difficult and uncomfortable. Here are the do's and don'ts when talking with our youth. So do be non-judgmental. Do watch their body language and label behavior, not the youth. Discuss healthy and unhealthy relationships. And I will say that is a segment in the training that we do with them in December. But we can model this for them and we can point it out in the moment. If they come to you about a situation with a relationship, you can ask them, well, is that healthy or unhealthy? And talk about that. It's a really good opportunity. Discuss consent. don't dispute the fact. Don't question their motives, because that's just gonna push them away, right? Don't react with disgust or shock. Don't expect full disclosure. Don't expect you to recognize victim status. These conversations are ongoing and not a one-time talk. So be mindful of your own feelings and responses. Shocked or disgusted looks may cause shame in a youth and halt the conversation. So remember to utilize your own resources for support when needed. Talking about real life scenarios with youth can help the youth plan ahead for safety. Brainstorm. I want you guys to, we're going to do a little bit of practicing here. And I want you guys to turn to the person next to you. And you're gonna practice with each other responding to these scenarios. Okay. Talking about real life scenarios with youth can help the youth plan ahead for safety. Brainstorm together how to handle things that may happen. It's sometimes best for you to practice ahead of time before leading these conversations with youth. So, I'm sorry. Did it not? Okay, so here's the scenario. You find out self-created intimate content of your child has been shared on Instagram. I think you guys could pick which scenario to do. Okay, pick one of the four and discuss it with them. I'm gonna give you guys 3 minutes. Go ahead and talk.
Come on. Come on, you wanna go in our room or? Okay.
To make sure we cover all of them, like one. Is anybody gonna do one?
We'll do one.
Okay, and there could be a couple if you want. Is someone doing two?
Yeah.
Okay, is someone doing three? Okay, and someone doing four? Perfect, okay, and then if we double, it's fine. Go ahead.
We just choose one.
It's fine.
Well, stay away. Bring camera.
Oh, yes.
Are you ready? You guys ready? Let's bring it back in. Okay, so whoever did number one, you find out self-created intimate content of your child has been shared on Instagram. How could we start the conversation?
Explaining
Explaining the risk. Okay, what are you hoping to hear are the risks? Like, and what kind of risk?
Well, I mean, just the risks of, I mean, you're putting your intimate self out there. I mean,
Yeah.
you're putting yourself out for situations, human trafficking situations, future ramifications if somebody finds it job wise.
Yep. If they're under 18, it could be considered what? Yep. Okay, anyone want to add to that? Number one, before we move on? Okay. Number two, your youth refuses to share their social media sites with you. What suggestions do you have for their online interactions? Everybody's different with this. If you what?
You don't share, you don't
You
get.
don't share, you don't get it. Okay. I mean, that's kind of our rule. Like our rule, that's our policy, right? We kind of have to answer what we do here, but I love to hear if you have anything suggestion wise in your own households. But yeah, if you're secretive, you don't get it. Here it's they can, what's the exact policy, Ash, do you remember?
What?
Like if we ask to see their cell phone, we can ask to see their cell phone at any time.
And if they don't want us to, then they just lose their phone kids.
Yeah.
So they can't be trusted with the cell phone.
Yeah. Because really it's about privilege, but it's also a really good opportunity to talk about healthy online interactions and boundaries as well. Any suggestions with that? Like specifics, like what would you tell your child? Is there anything that you tell them not to share?
Their location,
Okay.
they only talk to people that they know and know. If they have online friends, which I understand is a very common thing, they'll disclose their location or personal details.
Yeah.
Maybe first name only.
Yeah. I remember when I was a teenager, this is way before like the whole Oprah segment and talking about the dangers of the internet. Chatters would say, "What's your ASL? What's your age, your sex, and your location?" Those are personal details. I cannot believe that we're just flippantly doing that.
I feel somebody saying it to me, I'll give them wrong. I like, they say, where you live, and I say, well, so and did, if they, well, how many animals you own, I'll be giving them all kinds of crazy stuff, like 25 cats, and I'll be doing that to them if I feel like they're trying to.
That's amazing.
I mean,
Yeah. All right. Number three. Someone your youth, are you okay, Miss Carrie? Every time. Someone your youth met online has asked them to meet in public. You told them no, but can see that they're likely to sneak out without your permission.
I'll be outside the window with the gun.
We can't always do that though.
That's the right sleep on that night.
That's
Okay. Weird here, but in your own home, yes. Okay, that makes sense. Maybe you tell night shift, hey, night shift. Just keep a lookout on room 4's window and door. Right? I had when I was a teacher, I had a little boy who had a watch, and it took me like half the year to figure this out, but like they could tell when he was like up and around or sleeping. And like I don't remember what exactly, but like the dad said something. I'm like, how'd you know? Like it just kept freaking me out. And then I found out that his watch said everything, told location and everything. I think that's wise. I mean, I don't see a problem with that, but what's that? Oh yeah. Well, he would also like he would earn something by moving or whatever on the watch. Like I'm just learning, you know how you close your rings with the Fitbit? It's kind of like that for kids. Like they had to do with dinosaurs and eggs, and I don't know, it's kind of weird. Okay. So your youth's best friend has recently been kicked out of their home due to their sexuality. your youth is asking if they can spend the night.
Nope.
I actually dealt with this when I was a teenager.
Did you?
My youth was kicked out of the home because they didn't know that he was gay. So me and Bethany talked about it. Obviously, like the son stay the night at our cottages, but we would make sure that they were like safe. And if we had to call like non-emergency number to get them resources. And Miss Bethany even said like she would contact Jason to see if he knew of any resources as
Sure.
well.
Sure. That's good.
And also just talking about like their the youth's feelings.
Yeah.
Like how do you feel that your best friend is kicked out and making sure they have the emotional support
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Because I mean, that affects the friend as well, right? Not just that kid.
Because they're worried about my finances.
It's good. Anyone want to add to that one? Okay. You did good, guys. So this is like putting a big black screen on my thing. So although you can't predict every situation your youth will be in, we want to highlight, sorry, I don't know what is going on, but there's like a big black screen in my covering what I was supposed to say. You want to highlight some of the specific strategies they can take in an uncomfortable situation, right? And a lot of you did that. Good job. So, although you can't predict every situation, like you can't necessarily always sit outside their window with a gun. Is that what you said, Annette? Sorry. That's something my father would do. Right. I feel like I need to tell you guys a story about
Well, I'll tell you. a
my
little
father and a gun. Go on.
My window was like towards the driveway when I was growing up, and my dad took this truck, which I could have stepped out on the truck and went out the window. But he put the truck up against the window where he thought nobody could get out, but I could actually raise somebody to step out on the truck and get out. I ain't never forgot that.
You found a way. They're sneaky.
But I never
Kids are
sneaked out,
sneaky.
though.
No, I was too afraid to.
No, we're gonna get caught. Not me.
So, some steps to follow in your mind: identify your safe people, practice refusal skills and saying the words out loud. Stop, you're making me uncomfortable. These are things you can teach the kiddos. Anticipate for when they would be alone with someone and plan ahead for safety. So just having those open conversations, right? And the way that we're going to be able to have those conversations, we talk about this a lot, well, at least I do, is building rapport with them to be able to talk about with them. So they don't feel safe with you. It's a lot harder. Right? Yeah. Okay. So this is the last slide on this training. This just has some hotlines. You're welcome to put them in your phones for different scenarios. There's a lot of them that you could like text. So we, Amanda and Lisa and I, we went to this training for Love 146 in Connecticut, and it was week long. It was a pretty intense training, a pretty intense subject. But I don't know, when I came back, I feel pretty different. Like, I was pretty changed, just because I didn't realize the impact of traffic. Like, listen, I knew about trafficking, but it just gave me a perspective about trafficking that I needed, and about our youth and about vulnerability. So I hope if you take away anything, it's just a bigger confidence in how to recognize vulnerabilities in our youth and be thinking about different ways that you can build that rapport so that you can have those open conversations with our kids. Okay. He's going to teach the next training. I'm going to give you guys like 5 minutes, and we're going to come back and do a refresher on run protocol. And then hopefully we can have lunch. When's lunch coming? Yeah. Okay. Tell them we're going to end early. So if he wants to, I don't know if he's already called or, huh?
Randy might know, because he's supposed to go pick it up.
Yeah, it is. I'll tell him. If you have it, you get it? Okay. I'd say we would be ready by 12. If we want to go with Jared. We'll get with Jared.